Ekman. I'm your homesteading graduate assistant at SRU's Macoskey Center. This is my pup Willow, and we're here to bring you a little introductory video about our Resiliency Gardening series. A little bit about myself. I had gotten my undergraduate degree at Clarion University in environmental biology. During that time I went for a semester at National Outdoor Leadership School in Tucson, Arizona, where I got to backpack and do some really cool outdoor adventure things and gain some experience there. And then, then I graduated and I first interned at a state park for a little while underneath their environmental educator, and then I went off and worked at a private forestry company. And from there I had the opportunity to come back to school and get my graduate degrees in environmental education as well as parks and resource management. And then now I am working at the Macoskey Center and getting this awesome opportunity to share with you guys about our Resiliency Gardening series. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about why I started being interested in gardening. I would say my first experience in which I became interested was actually with landscaping. My mom has an awesome old Victorian house that she's put her heart and soul into over the years as I was growing up, and you know, totally restored the inside back to its roots, and so she's put her heart and soul into that. But I noticed one day when I was walking home from middle school, and it was that early springtime, everything was in color, and I could see that our neighbors, who have a phenomenal garden set up compared to us, ours looked very skimpy, and so I decided to start pulling up grass right then and there. We had maybe like 2 or 3 like evergreen bushes and a rose bush that was just totally out of control, and that was it for landscaping around, you know, this house that my mom put her heart into. So we weren't doing it any justice by not having any sort of plants around it. So that night, actually, my mom and I went out to our local garden center and picked up a bunch of perennials, and that's how I developed my somewhat of a green thumb. My mom has never had much of a green thumb, so she kind of put me in charge of that, and I was in maybe 6th or 7th grade for that, and so cool little story there. I want to talk to you a little bit about my NOLS and my forestry experience over the past few years. My NOLS is National Outdoor Leadership School. I went there when I was a sophomore during my undergrad for a semester's worth of time, and I actually got credits to my undergrad, so I tell everybody about it because not only did I get credits, I got an experience of a lifetime. I did some backpacking, whitewater kayaking, the Rio Grande, as well as rock climbing and Stronghold Cochise, out that way. So it was just an incredible experience where I showered 3 times in 3 months. That's how rugged it was, and had a group of really awesome and influential people in my life. So that experience, I had kept a journal during that time, and I sketched everything I saw, everything I thought, all these poems and things that really meant a lot to me during that time. And I guess plant-wise, I had sketched all of these different plants I never have heard of or I had never seen in person. There was yucca plants growing everywhere, agave, just really, really cool and wild plants for me since I had never been to the Southwest before. During my work in forestry, I really got to learn the gentle giants of the forest, and not only did I learn those trees, but I was able to see more animals than I've ever seen, even just backpacking. I was able to, just in general, I was outside more hours of the day than I was inside, so that's kind of a different experience than what most people get to have. I got to be on different property, private property, that I otherwise wouldn't have been allowed on. And I particularly remember last spring, there was just a carpet of wildflowers at so many different properties that were just tucked away in the woods, you know, beautiful streams. I worked in West Virginia, in Pennsylvania, and then in New York State a little bit, and so I really got a several weeks worth of when West Virginia's wildflowers were out. You know, a couple weeks later, I noticed Pennsylvania's were coming out, and then New York. So just a really cool dynamic of getting to fully experience a season, and also, I guess, recognize too, when I worked there in the wintertime as well, it was pretty brutal. He had some negative degree days and quite literally forming ice on my eyelashes on several of those days. But it also got me thinking critically about how plants are just so resilient in what they can endure, and some of them, yes, are a little bit more sensitive, but overall it's just amazing of, you know, all these resources we have in our backyard. So just another thing that got me really, really interested in working with plants. That brings me to talk about our Resiliency Garden series. So I always thought gardening was, you know, a piece of cake, because you'd always watch people who enjoyed gardening. They enjoyed pulling weeds, they enjoyed being in the sun and smelling the air and stuff, and it's not always something that we think about. It's, you know, food, it's made to bring us food and nourish our bodies and our minds and just in general our health. And so gardening for me has become a total staple of who I am, and I hope to instill that in you through this series. And the series will involve things like canning, as well as, making your own compost bin, organic pest control. So there's just 1,000 things that we can talk about, and which I plan to talk about with you. So the Macoskey Center staff and I thought that this would be a awesome outlet to use while we're all at home during this time, and that you know, we are all resilient in ourselves, so let's have a resiliency garden to reflect that, and to have that food security, as well as having that peace of mind that you have a little bit of something extra in your backyard in which you can supplement the health of your family during this time. So with that being said, I want to end this video and future videos with doing something that I did during my Knowles experience, in which I, as well as my fellow classmates and mentors, we either ended the day with like a poem or a good thought, and kind of could discuss that further if we wanted, but I want to leave you with a poem today, one of my favorites. So it's called The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. And it starts out with, "Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I don't know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Again, that's by Mary Oliver. And I hope you use this one wild and precious life to build a resiliency garden with me. And let's get our hands dirty then.
I have worked upon the hillsides, where the pines sing in the wind, where the renters lived before me, and the miners before them.